Okay.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving this meeting.
I don't know if we can be trusted with such a weapon. But we have no choice.
You all ready to talk about Oppenheimer?
Schittenheimer.
Schittenheimer. Wait, you mean this man right here, my Lord and Savior? He's literally me for real? What did you guys think? We can take turns, we can talk over each other, we can try to choke each other through the
I want
screen.
to talk over each other.
Yeah, we should fight over it.
I didn't like it.
L plus ratio plus
And no way.
wrong.
So yeah, I know that I've talked to Will a little bit about the movie last time we worked together, and he will be one of the Oppen defenders, one of the uh Oppie radicalists. So I'm gonna be on the Oppenheimer sucks big bomb dick, and that'll be my stance on the movie.
Just because I hate Jacob, I'm gonna be on the Oppenheimer is the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Fuck! I thought I had you on my side for just a
Not
slim
anymore.
moment. Shit. What did you think about it, Jeremy? I know that you started off out of the theater and you were pretty positive on it overall.
I would say overall I'm just really torn. There were some things that I really liked about it, and there's also a lot of things that I really didn't like about it.
Okay.
I've been trying to figure out my full opinions on it. But I don't know. I have some positive, a lot of negative. I don't know. I think it's a movie that, like, the more I think about it, the less I like it, which is not a good sign.
No, that's generally not like a great sign.
But there's still things I liked about it. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
Chris, what was your overall impression of the movie?
I thought it was pretty good.
Another Heimer to the collection. I see. Zoe, what did you think about it?
How do I unmute? I thought it was I didn't like it very much, to be
Okay.
honest. First
Okay.
impressions, not so good to me.
So considering Tommy's taking the opposite stance as me, does that mean it's gonna drive a wedge in your relationship?
It will, yes.
It already
There's a
has.
100% chance, yeah.
It's already done it.
It's kind of our last hurrah.
Okay, so I guess we can like start getting into some of the positives of the movie. Jeremy, what were some of the things you liked about the movie? And I guess we can sort of start there.
Yeah, so some of the things I liked about it, I know it's like something that like is like a real stereotype with like a lot of Nolan films, but like the score is very strong, I felt. He definitely relies on it too much, but I think that's like one of the things that helped keep the pace of the movie up. Another thing that I liked about it was the bomb scene was really good, I thought. The bomb testing scene.
The bomb
I thought the
did
movie
explode. It
did explode. It was very big. It was a very big explosion.
Yeah.
I think the movie should have ended shortly after that.
Yeah, maybe.
But not enough with the no negatives right now. But
Yeah.
those are a couple things I liked about it.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy's really good as Opie.
Yeah.
I would say that's my general consensus too. Like, well, except for the bomb. But
You didn't
thought-
like the bomb scene.
we'll talk about it later. I thought Cillian Murphy did a really good job. I thought Florence Pugh did a good job, and I thought Emily Blunt did a good job. Other positives. I loved Albert Einstein. It was ironically though, I did not actually like it. So I guess that's kind of a half positive, half negative.
Yeah. Will, as another Heimer defender, what would you say are some of the things you loved about the movie?
So I was really So I guess I'll preface this with saying all I knew about Oppenheimer prior to the movie was what was in the epic rap battle of history between him and Thanos. And so I didn't really have my expectations up very high. And also I just don't like Nolan movies in general. So there was a lot of, I guess, room for it to be good at all for me. And so anything that was good was amplified like tenfold. But on top of that, I was really happy with the way it presented the internal conflict within Oppenheimer. You know, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's the moral complexity." There isn't moral complexity. The real complexity is in the psychological side of Oppenheimer. It is um, watching this man justify something that isn't justifiable, especially towards the end of World War II. And I thought they did that really well. I also thought they did the capturing of his guilt uh, really well, which we can go into in a little bit, I guess. But I don't know. I was really happy with those aspects of the movie.
Yeah,
Also, the score, like Jeremy said.
yeah, I would tend to agree and say that the moral complexity of the movie, it's not trying to be like uh super ambiguous as to the like devastating nature of the atomic bomb, and it definitely like points a negative finger towards Oppenheimer's way. I guess like when it comes to my issues, it delves more into the psychological complexity of the character versus, I guess, the more political nature or moral nature of the film. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, just want to throw in really quick. I definitely agree. I think the movie handled like the ethics of everything like, pretty well. Especially like I don't know if this movie came out 30 years ago, it would have been horrible.
Yeah,
It would have been like, yeah, we just had to drop the bomb on those Japs, just kill them all.
yeah, fuck
Like,
them.
but yeah.
Chris, what would you say are some of the things you liked about the movie?
I kind of like the Avengers, meeting, recruiting all the scientists,
Yeah, Benny
Um,
Safdie came to the Avengers. It was dope. We got
Yeah.
Newest member
Project
of
Rules.
Mensa. Yeah.
yeah, him and all the sun lotion.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, I think Josh Peck should have had more lines.
yeah,
But no, I mean, some of the scenes, like kind of as we said before, the bomb scene was pretty cool. I think also the sort of like in a basketball court gymnasium, I thought that scene was pretty cool.
Yeah, when Oppenheimer
Especially,
was hooping,
Mhm.
I like that scene.
yeah, yeah, when Oppenheimer was breaking those ankles,
yeah.
that was pretty cool. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really like the scene where he was explaining the physics of the atoms and how they penetrate the nucleus of the atom, and what they did is they take the piece of paper and fold it in half and put a pencil through it and explain that that's how wormholes travel throughout space and time. No, but like legitimately, I guess like my more legitimate like compliment towards the movie is I think there were some scenes where the visual language was it was impressive. I liked the sort of uh, like nightmarish after effect of people's faces melting off with the like bright lights and stuff. Even though I think it's perhaps the done better in some of his other movies with the usage of overexposure, but still, I really like the sort of aspect of that. I liked the scene where we're watching Killian Murphy and Florence Pugh have sex in the office and in front of his wife, and I liked the element when I liked any element when it became more dreamlike and nightmarish, even if it felt sort of tonally distant and almost like a different movie than what we were actually watching. I still
I wish
thought,
there was more of that.
yeah, exactly. I definitely wish there was more of those kinds of dreamlike elements in it. But yeah, I guess we can start discussing like more elements like pertaining to like specific scenes in the movie. Um, like I know you guys mentioned earlier the bomb scene and that there was some things that you didn't like about it. I guess we'll say start with like Tommy. What did you and Zoe think about the bomb scene?
Good.
No, you want me to go first? Okay. I thought I can also look up slow mo fire on YouTube, Christopher Nolan. It's not that hard. I was very unimpressed by it. I thought it was really not visually engaging. It was just whatever. I don't know. There was a lot of build up to it, and it was just whatever. I didn't feel anything for it, and because there were no real like I don't know. I like Josh Beck. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Zoe?
Contrast that. I do.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was. I thought it was like a. What I feel. What I feel like. Okay, so I feel like a lot of the film kind of lacked like a focus on something, and I feel like that kind of sequence in the movie just had a nice focus and like a stress on something, and I was stressed out. My heart was beating. I enjoyed it. I thought it was done pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see the sort of like quick pace editing that definitely it definitely led to a bit of tension during that scene. I think it is definitely the pseudo climax of the events that led up to it in the rest of the movie, even if it's not perhaps the emotional climax, which may have been the sort of like the courtroom sort of conversations later than that. But yeah, it was probably I don't know one of the more climactic moments in the movie. What did the rest of you guys think about it? You can start spitting out stuff.
Yes, it was kind of the bomb, as the kids are saying these days. Uh,
Boo, boo,
yeah,
bad
it
joke.
was. Yeah, I don't know, I liked it how it just goes silent. A lot of people I think were expecting it to go like, oh wow, it's loud immediately, and that's so exciting and cool. No, it took its time a little bit. I don't know. That was more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything to add about the climactic giant bomb, the titular Oppenheimer bomb?
I think kind of like Will was saying, I did like that it was sort of, all quiet when it blew up, but then it still, had all the like afterwave, like shockwave stuff to sort of, been like, yeah, a bomb did just kind of blow up rather than like, oh, look at the pretty explosion.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And they were definitely
Yeah.
building up to it. Like they had this whole like scene beforehand explaining how if they were too close to it, they'd like immediately get like vaporized, and so they had to keep moving it backwards and trying out bigger and bigger bombs before they got to this gigantic bomb that uh-oh, the we might not be able to actually explode. The rain might prevent us, and they did like very like Hollywood archetypical like structural stuff to sort of make you, I guess, on the edge of your seat as to like what are we gonna, or is the bomb going to go off? Are we gonna see it happen? Yada yada yada. Even though we know that they test the explosion, of course. Duh. Yes, they use the bomb. Yes, the bomb will go off. The whole mini bet between the two characters of like, I bet you my next month's salary that the bomb's gonna go off. It's like, yeah, we all know it's gonna happen, but it's still there, and it's still sort of creating that sort of artificial tension that I think can work at times.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I want to say I agree with Will as well. Um, I think like especially once the bomb like actually goes off and you're just like watching, it's like it like the whole thing is framed as like a very personal, like intimate moment for like Cillian Murphy's character for
Mm,
Oppenheimer. And I think the scene would have benefited more, like the preceding events would benefit more if they kind of focused on that. Because like when I'm thinking about it now, all I can think about is like Benny Safdie caking on suntan lotion and like there's like all these like little elements where they're like they're trying to like make it silly.
yeah.
I don't know.
And they lay on the floor like sweet babies.
Yeah, all I could think about was like multiple times throughout the movie was like different like parallels to Asteroid City. I don't know how many of you have seen it. I know Jeremy and Will have. But yeah, there's like not only is there like atomic testing in that movie, but there's also the whole thing in the atomic testing of this movie where they're putting the little black panel over their
Yeah.
face, which is sort of like the
Watching the
boxes they
eclipse.
put over their heads. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I couldn't. There's too many incidences where I was like kind of unintentionally creating humor for myself. I know this was the case for you, Tommy. You were talking about Einstein before. What are some other instances in the movie you'd say sort of gave you like unintentional comedic whiplash?
I mean, I was laughing a lot. I apologize to Jeremy afterwards because I was laughing so much during it. Not when I should have been. It was Einstein every single time. There were so many lines, like so many attempts at humor that I was
Hmm.
laughing at because they were not funny. The Matt Damon joke about killing the guy. It's
Oh
like,
my
what?
God.
It's not funny. It's
No.
very weird.
I think it was kind of unintentionally funny because there were people in the theater that laughed at it and they were like,
Oh my
"Yeah,
God.
One guy cracked
military's
up
awesome. They could just kill people if they want to. That's so cool."
so bad.
It's like it was like there was like a pause after that line
Yeah.
for a laugh.
Oh my God. Yeah, the audience was a little obnoxious. It was like a lot of old people who would like every
Yeah.
time a character would say like a serious line, they'd be like, "Oh, damn, he said that? Oh man." And then there'd be like those scenes where they'd say something funny and they'd be like, "Ha, ha, what a rascal. The government murdering people. They've never done
It's
that
just like
before."
old people. It's like old people watching it like it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my
Yeah,
God. It really
exactly.
is.
That was the next funny part when they were like, who was the senator that voted against me? His name's Kennedy.
Yes.
John F. Kennedy.
Name
What?
drop. Yeah, that's awesome.
History cameo.
Yeah.
I hate it. It
There
was
really
so
were like
funny.
a lot
I
of
don't know.
history Easter eggs. Oh my God. Did you see how Adam Warlock showed up in the 15th frame in the background in his hibernation chamber in Oppenheimer? It's crazy.
I liked when She-Hulk twerked with Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, it's I don't know. There's definitely a lot of moments like that where I've talked to a number of different people now, and I know Will doesn't have so much of an issue with this, and I'll let him sort of defend it. But I know that like it's sort of like yeah, these people did exist during this time. These people did have conversations with each other. It's keeping to a point of realism, but I'll get to the point on as to my problems with its attention to realism in a minute, but I'll let Will speak about the sort of the cameo effect as I'll coin it.
There is no effect. These aren't cameos. This isn't like, oh, it's a Breaking Bad reference, Heisenberg. It's not how it works. That's not what. It's just Oppenheimer was influenced by these figures and interacted with them in such a way that it formed a part of his story in the movie. It's relevant, okay? I promise. And even if like the only way it could be wrong is if it wasn't relevant, and I can speak to if it wasn't relevant. Any of us are like an Oppenheimer scholar then and said, yeah, he didn't interact with these people, and that'd be okay. Then yeah, it was gratuitous or whatever. But it's
Yeah,
not like it wasn't somewhat integral.
I can somewhat see the argument because I think as a whole, I am personally brain rot by like movies like the new Spider-Man movie that just like are non-stop bombardments of cameos and references and Easter eggs to the comics and to other movies, and rather than feeling like homage, we've come to this like new form of like just like non-stop references and
It's happening at the TMNT premiere. The I
yeah,
Like Turtles kid was there. It's happening in real life.
yeah, yeah, we're just so I feel like my mind's melting away and I'm starting to no longer be able to see like I guess historical period pieces as like uh just historically accurate, and I'm like, there's that reference I'm supposed to laugh at. And yeah, so I don't know, maybe you're right, Will. I don't know, I didn't particularly like it. Is all I know.
It's one of those things where I'm curious. Like I just really want to see like if it's a matter of just something wrong with like us as the audience, or if it's like the movie like framing it as like a thing. Because like especially with like the JFK name drop seemed like that was supposed to be a moment where you're like, oh shit, like oh my god.
Yo, it was him.
But other than that, I don't think I really had like a problem with most of the other like historical figures in it.
Yeah.
I'll concede the JFK name drop was definitely a little um I guess more to your point, it was not quite necessary, it was a little dumb.
It
Yeah.
just didn't seem like that vital. Whereas like the other things, it's like, yeah, his conversations with Einstein and like meeting with Heisenberg were like worth noting at least.
Yeah. Um, what did like speaking of like the whole like Einstein scene, like what did you guys think of that whole revelation at the end where he's like, but I've done the thing, I have become the death, and I am the creator of my own evil. I know like that's kind of supposed to be the emotional climax, if you will. That's sort of like where he, I guess, reflects on his own actions, and truly sees himself as like sees the way that the country is like uh helped, like sort of hero, made him a hero, that it I guess it just like it's supposed to be him reflecting on himself in that way. But I mean, I personally didn't find uh, that at all emotionally resonant. But I'll sort of respond to what you guys have to say. Chris? Okay, Tommy, hold your horses. Chris, what would
Yeah,
you?
that's me. Well, I thought it was kind of cool at the end. I mean, I think I thought it was cool just because, it was just on his face, and you could sort of see him really thinking like, oh God, I'm the reason, people are dying because I built this bomb. And I thought it was such a good idea, but now I'm like, whoa. Because I mean, even sort of, I think in the movie and like times that were sort of set before it, I mean, like kind of with the president and all that, you were sort of seeing him sort of second guessing, being like, I just created something that can like super kill people, rather than just like, oh, I built a bomb. That's cool, guys, right? So I thought it was kind of cool just to sort of give more into him being like I have created something horrible.
Yeah. No, I
So
can see
yeah.
that. I guess like my problem with it is that we're sort of like given as a rationalization for why he makes the bomb that like it has to do with his like Jewishness, and that why he's I guess like trying to do it is to stop this greater evil, and he's making a lesser of two evils. But I truly at no point throughout the movie actually uh understand or fully like rationalize with his decision making on why he wants to do that. At no point do I actually feel like he's a Jewish character. At no point do I feel like he's like like he says he's doing it for this, and I guess I just take his word for it. And then he says that he's doing it for his career, or that he's not doing it for his career. But then other characters point fingers at him and say, "You're doing it for your career." And then I guess I also just go along with it because I just don't. At no point do I actually truly believe what the character is like saying or being told that he believes. He feels like such a blank slate of a character to me. Tommy, what would you say about that whole end scene?
I actually kind of now have 2 points based on what you said. So,
Yeah.
firstly, just to the end scene, I didn't feel like it was necessary. I did like it is almost it's funny and stupid how a big point of the end scene was that Strauss gets his answer that they don't care about him, he's not important. So why do we spend the last hour of the movie on him? Oh my God, Christopher Nolan, you're making fun of yourself, dude.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't think we needed the line. I already knew the world had changed. I think it was heavily implied throughout the 3 hour runtime. I don't think we needed like a. I think you're right, Albert, and then like a drop. It's like we didn't need that. But then to your point, I actually did I thought the reason Oppenheimer made the bomb was very complex, and I thought it was simultaneously so many factors pulling at him that, and I really like this one line in the movie, that he became more of a politician and he left the physics behind. Like he became the figurehead and like this actor where he wasn't actually doing anything anymore and was just acting on the whims of the people around him. So I thought that actually I was convinced by that. And I
Mm.
was like, okay, I kind of see why he did this and like all the factors that were pulling at him. So that I didn't have a problem with. But yeah, the end scene, stupid.
Yeah, I just want to throw in and agree. Like, I think there's like an interesting point, like right at the point where they like find out that like Hitler committed suicide, and then like he walks in and like the whole like discussion group, like where they're all like talking like, do we even need to do this anymore? And like he like walks in and starts like giving like this big inspirational speech about how they still need to make the bomb. I don't like it's one of those where I'm not sure 100% if the movie's trying to like uh like justify him in that, but I thought it was an interesting moment because it's like he really has no way to truly justify his actions now. It's he really is just kind of being a puppet pulled along on strings.
Yeah, I don't know. I see, I would feel more like he was a puppet or a political player, like a pawn, if he was, if it felt like he was, if it felt like he was that way in his relationship. But even then, he seems to make like unilateral decisions on behalf of his wife on a couple different occasions, and that sort of almost conflicts with his I guess his like innate nature to be um, to be this like spineless pawn who's moved around by everyone, and it doesn't feel like it's made so in the way that is supposed to be um, innately like an inner foil to his character, where he's at home he's a different person than he is at work. I at no point do I feel truly like he's uh, anything. I don't feel anything from his character in any regard when it comes to whether he's uh, being pulled around or whether he's leading. Yes, Tommy.
Oh, you can
Just
continue. I just want to. I have something to
you know
say.
you can just speak. You can just like unmute yourself and speak. That's more than
You don't
fine.
need to raise your hand.
I just
No.
wanted. Okay, guys, I didn't realize respect was dead. But I think actually not feeling anything for Oppenheimer is some of the point. Like I said, he does just become this political player, and like he kind of loses himself. But I do agree that you can't have that as your like core thesis of it. That like this person is not even a person anymore. He is essentially the bomb. But
Hmm.
then also be like have moments where he's like, it's not possible that he died. He didn't find out about me having sex with his wife until later. It's like having cool moments like that, which is already very lame, doesn't really work if you want your character to kind of be like this nothing, no thoughts for himself. Like I agree that the you can't have both at the same time because it under one undermines the other.
I'd see. I agree with that because, like, I think that there it really comes down to me. I think with Nolan's whole construction of his black and white perspective versus his colored perspective of the two characters sort of viewing each other. Neither. At no point do I actually feel like Oppenheimer is like a different human being when viewed through the lens of Strauss or whatever his name is, or and never do I feel like Strauss or whatever. I don't remember his name is Robert Downey Jr. I'll just refer to him as
It's Strauss.
Strauss. Okay. Anyway, I at no point do I feel like Strauss is actually looks like a different human being from his own perspective to between Oppenheimer's perspective. And I feel like that's extremely damaging because it's almost like if you're watching like Beau is Afraid, and I know a couple of you haven't seen that, but a couple of you have. But in that movie, imagine if the movie wasn't through its own subjective lens, where we were just led to believe that he is this like pathetic, like terrible, like lonely loser the entire movie, and we're not at all led to believe that this is how he views himself, then we would just be watching this like lonely, pathetic loser, and that would be it. That would be just the entire subtext, and that's how I felt like I was watching Oppenheimer. Is that I'm following this like essentially this like monster who's not even like greedy enough in order to like fully commit to being a monster, but he's like I just feel like he's just stupid. I genuinely feel like he's not making any decision for like truly logical reasons, and for his own reasons he can't even like have the character like fiber in order to sort of defend his own mental state. Like he can't even, I guess, and I know the real person immediately flipped on his actions once the bomb exploded in the after effects of that. But like truly, I'm sure the real person had to have known some of the after effects of what he was creating beforehand. And I guess that sort of brings me into the another complaint I have, which is Nolan's whole relationship with the movie and why he talks about in interviews why he created it is sort of like his relationship with art and how he created The Dark Knight and sees himself as a player in the deconstruction of film as a whole, from creating a superhero movie, and now all we have is superhero movies, which I think is actually just really stupid, and so it humanizes Oppenheimer to such a degree that I think is so actually inhuman to think of. It's so middle ground and pleasing, and I think it says nothing. That's like one of my biggest issues with this film, is that I just think it doesn't say much. Now I know
Okay,
I
I need
will.
to interject now.
Yeah,
I have
exactly.
several things to say on several parts
Okay.
of this.
Yes.
First, you said he's an idiot. I need to clarify a few things with him.
Hmm.
First, he is driven primarily by like a scientific obsession or kind of a hubris, right?
Hmm.
That's what's driving the project. But he has also to balance this with his own sense of what is right and what is wrong. He has to try to reconcile his morality with his ambition.
Hmm.
This proves to be kind of a problem. So you can see, I think Jeremy brought up the discussion scene in the movie, right, where he walks in and they're like, yeah, anyway, Hitler killed himself. The Germans are out of the war. The Japanese will be soon to follow. And Oppenheimer, that like he was hiding behind, well, we need to beat the Nazis. Once the Nazis are no longer an opponent, no longer a competitor, what does he have left? He has very little. His logic starts to fall apart. He has to grab onto straws, uh, and tries to say, well, we have to demonstrate the power of our weapon so nobody uses it again, which doesn't make any sense because he's trying to justify something that's unjustifiable. And he's torn apart by his own logic, which kind of makes him out to be, you said a puppet. I guess he could kind of be seen as a puppet. And also, you talked about the other day, sorry, we were talking about the solo Star Wars story moment where he's like, oh, but his person walked in, is wearing the military uniform. It's like, no, you're a scientist. Wear your iconic outfit. As if he's some kind of superhero, which is just absurd. But also, that was him. The military uniform was kind of symbolic of him falling into this role of the politician, as Tommy was talking about. Him kind of becoming that puppet because it's kind of the path he has to follow in order to follow his hubris. And also, this is a very similar kind of case. I'm sure some of you have read Frankenstein, uh, right? Yeah, Dr. Frankenstein, the entire like first half, not first half, but like, when he's making the monster, isn't really thinking about the end, right? He's just thinking, wow, sure, it'd be really neat if I made this guy, reanimated this corpse, and then after the monster's created, it's only then when it finally hits him, oh my gosh, what have I done? I would also like to bring in, well, I'm pretty sure it's from Jurassic Park. I'm not sure if it's from this movie or if I'm making it up, but it's the line that's like, they've been so concerned with if they can make dinosaurs,
They
they've
didn't stop to
never
think if they
wondered,
should.
yeah, if they
Yeah.
should, wow. And that's this whole thing. He's just locked in on creating this bomb and what is possible, that he's too blinded by that to fully, I guess, comprehend what it means after he's done it. Which brings us to the end, which we started this whole tangent on, where Einstein says, hey, now you have to deal with the consequences of your achievement, and everybody's going to judge you and be mean to you. Now, the first half of that works. Okay, his achievement has major consequences. That's great. Cool. Yeah, now we live in the atomic age. The people are going to harass you and, I don't know, criticize you. Oh, and you're like a martyr. That's, I don't know how much of this in the movie, by the way, if this is my own private delusion, but, and that, I think if that is this martyr angle where at the end of the movie it's like, oh, people who were like, I guess, betrayed him were now shaking hands with him and he got a medal. Wow, people finally respect him. That's the dumbest arc ever. Okay, but everything else that went before it doesn't make sense with that. But anyway, I've gone on. So I don't. Yeah, that's some of my points. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jeremy, Chris, would you like to say anything
I
pertaining to
agree
what
with
I
most
said
of
or
what
what
Will
Will
just
said?
said. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Shit. Give you a minute.
Yeah, you're good. Chris, do you have anything to add to what either I or Will have said?
Will's base for being Oppenheimer's strongest soldier, as we can see right there. I don't know else besides that.
I think that like where like one of my issues comes in is where I can't at all relate to the idea that I'm so interested in the thing that I'm doing. I have so much passion and drive towards the thing that I'm doing that I have no foresight to see the consequences of my actions outside of it. I don't I don't know how that's supposed to relate to almost anything because like as like a writer, I am constantly thinking about the consequences of what I'm writing. I'm trying to constantly think, am I writing a character with proper representation? Am I writing this female character to be three-dimensional and so that women can read my scripts and feel connected to that character? I'm constantly thinking of things like that, and I feel like it's innately irresponsible to do the opposite. And that irresponsibility I don't think is properly justified or at least justified in the way that I can understand why his thought process goes that way or even the movie I don't think villainizes him enough for thinking in that way. And I think that comes down to Christopher Nolan's perspective on it. I think he thinks that the artist is has should have the right to write two-dimensional women. Hence, why I think many of the women in this movie are two-dimensional.
That's
And
probably my biggest problem with the whole movie. Just like nothing for any of the women to do in this
he
movie.
never writes good women characters. Ever. His all of his movies have just terribly written, flat female characters. I saw this one like tweet or something the other day that was like, it's funny how women don't show up into the movie until 20 minutes in, and then a minute later they have sex with him. So it's like they don't they're just they don't they don't pass the Bechdel test, and it's I just think that Nolan thinks that I should be able to create whatever I want to create, and sure maybe there'll be consequences on it that I'll feel guilty about in the past, but I don't think he thinks that there's this impotence and this importance to thinking about it beforehand. I think he just creates and makes and shits out, and that's just how he goes about his filmmaking process. I don't know. But you guys have anything to add to that?
I would say, quite contrary to Will's point. Yeah, that's right. Get ready, buddy. I would say that the comparison to Frankenstein is somewhat lacking because Frankenstein is in and of itself a ghost story, and it is very much allegorical, while Oppenheimer is history, and that is something that happened. And Oppenheimer had many more factors, a lot more things pulling at him. So comparing him to Dr. Frankenstein, who was like just in college and bored or passionate about this, he had very much so less factors because he didn't have any position in the American government or anything like that. I think the comparison, though I understand it, I do think it eliminates some of what was happening in Oppenheimer to make for a not so good comparison.
I mean I'd agree with that because I think that like Frankenstein as a novel, highly villainizes Dr. Frankenstein. In fact, it's so much so that the narrative is constructed around a way that that Frankenstein himself is a monster created in his owner's image, and it's very metaphorical in that way. But it's so I guess like gross to me how little of I feel Oppenheimer has made a villain by the end of the film. Will, do you have anything to snap back on this point?
Oh, I have a few points of agreement, which is, yeah, I don't think he's properly villainized. I mean, like, it goes out of its way to capture his own guilt, which is why I think there's a disconnect towards the end, where it's like, anyway, he gets a reward, everything was great in the end. I think there's so much potential for villainization, and it just doesn't take that extra leap. Also, yeah, he is in Dr. Frankenstein. Like, it's kind of a reductionist take, I think. I agree with Tommy. However, the general idea and the abstract is still there, which is why I made the comparison. So,
And I guess I have
Yeah,
to
no, I
ask.
agree with that.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Jeremy?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I think like that's like the thing that's like frustrating too about the movie is that there's several points like throughout like the like middle especially where like the ethics of what he's doing is called into question, and like you can see like he's like there's a lot of points where he's just like, yeah, he's kind of just being a shitty person. But like the movie does kind of continually go out of its way to be like, no, you're not a shitty person. Like the scene where he drops off, where he's like, man, all I do is just work on this fucking bomb. All I've been doing is just like working all the time. My wife is miserable and like just drinking, and I'm just gonna get rid of my baby. And then the guy's like, you know what? You're not a bad person. You're a good person for that. It's like kind of weird.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Ah, dang, don't you always hate when
It's like I'm just gonna
when your
completely
wife
ignore my
is
family.
drinking and telling you that you're too busy with work? God, I hate that. Ah, God, women.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the biggest missteps I think in the movie is like not properly showing
Yeah,
like it's just kind of like especially towards the end I think the movie just kind of 100% nails in like on like he's just a tragic unsung hero,
yeah.
which I wish there was more room for complexity and like gray morality in there.
I think this brings me. I have to ask, Zoe, what did you think of the female characters in the movie as a
I speak for the
resident
women, yeah.
femoid?
Um,
Don't
uh,
say female.
yeah, I would 100% agree.
Friend.
All the women are incredibly two-dimensional. I especially was a little frustrated when there was one there was one scene where it was like he was like, women can be smart too, and he tried to show that lady that was like, they didn't teach us typing at Harvard. That was like, come, are you
She has
like
like one line in the whole movie.
Yeah.
put her in the bomb division? Like, and then she didn't do anything. It was
No,
just
she didn't
a
have any
nod.
important role in the future. She was there for the line, and that's it.
And that was it. It was very frustrating. It was very frustrating to see no women that were actually like incorporated in making any progress in the movie. It was frustrating, but it's all right. I mean, it's not, but yeah.
No, they were incorporated. They were incorporated. Oppenheimer had sex with at least 3 women in that movie. They were so important.
They were so important. But what about Emily Blunt's speech at the end? Isn't that so empowering, even though there was nothing beforehand to actually build to her character? Is it doesn't that
Yeah, there's a lot
uh
of like space in the movie to like explore like how conflicted she like must feel like the whole time, but like she really is just like there to be like Oppenheimer's cheerleader.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like the way that Nolan writes women in general. I think they're so like poorly written in general. But yeah, I think this is like one of his more egregious movies in that aspect. And I think that it's also the case in this film where I found that compared to his other films that the directing I just did not like many visual aspects about this film. One of my biggest complaints that I was talking to Will about the other day is the black and white cinematography just looked so bland. It looked like it could have. It looked like he legitimately took the colorized footage and then just put like a fucking Snapchat filter over it.
Exactly what it looked like. I was actually just thinking about this. I just recently rewatched. Obviously, I've seen like it's a lot of black and white movies. It's whatever. But I was just rewatching the original Godzilla, and there were so many shots in that. And Zoe actually pointed this out that like you talk about it.
Okay.
Scaling the body.
I was talking about like how if you're doing something in black and white, there needs to be a way higher value range. And it's like there was like such a narrow range of values that he used in the black and white. It literally looks like he took the colorized version and did it
Yeah.
black
It,
and white.
it
I think
looks
it's a
very
lost
flat.
art.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like no filmmakers nowadays have to do black and white movies anymore. So it's a lost art of having to make that interesting. And none of the black and white scenes were.
No. And it's not that you can't make modern day films look good in black and white. Like, I mean, early on there's like there's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which
The
has
Lighthouse.
I was just gonna
Yeah, The
mention
Lighthouse
that.
is a great example.
Yes, Lighthouse most recently, or maybe not most recently. I know we had like Mank, and a lot of people praised it for its black and white cinematography. But Lighthouse is a great example where it looks like it's pulled straight from its time, and there's a lot of craft put into making it look that way. Meanwhile, maybe there was with the costume design in this film, but overall, at no point did I actually feel like I was watching even a film from a while ago, or did I feel like the world I was watching was of that era? I just felt like they were dressing up in the costumes, and that's it. I don't know. I didn't feel immersed. You guys have any thoughts on that point?
I thought the costumes were okay, actually. I was okay with those.
No, I like the costuming. I just
Yeah.
think that it felt like costuming. I never felt truly like it was something that the characters were wearing, that these were like humans wearing clothes. I felt like costumes on actors. I don't know.
That's fair.
No other point to that? Okay.
No, I do have one thing to say.
Hmm.
I forgot an unintentional funny moment. I apologize for coming so late, but when at the end, when they all had like the worst gray hair dye, the worst makeup, the
Yeah.
one guy looked exactly the same, and then is it Safdie? Safdie with the T.
Mhm.
He looked
No.
like Safdie. He had like the worst hair dye I've ever seen. It was so bad. It was so funny. It looked like
I
shit.
I also forgot Jeremy said something really fucking funny afterwards about Denny
I
Safdie.
Yeah, I like came out of the theater and like the first thought on my mind was just like I cannot see Benny Safdie as like a science genius, like a just like a prodigy on on like quantum physics or whatever. Like
Didn't you
I
say that
just
his
see him as this
face
character
looked
from
like
Uncut
Play-Doh?
Gems. Yeah, he's got a Play-Doh face. I love Benny Safdie. He's great, but I
Yeah.
don't think he was meant for this role in this movie.
Oh man. Chris, I think you also said something pretty funny to that
Yeah,
regard.
they gave Oppenheimer a cranium, dude. His forehead looked huge at the end. I'm like, it's like, oh, he's got an award. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, dang, why is his forehead that big?
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I just like I didn't I don't know. I didn't like a lot of the look of the film. I think that also comes down to like the editing, which I don't blame it necessarily on the editor, but I do blame it more so on Christopher Nolan's like lack of coverage. It just feels like he only shot reverse shot, and that's just ended up having to be what they ended up using in the editing room.
The editing was so poor. Like multiple times, I would like turn to Zoe during the movie and be like, the editing was so poor on that in that scene. It was like almost jarring. It almost made me like motion sick.
You
It
know?
would cut so much. He so rarely held shots when they should have been held. It was very frustrating to watch.
Yeah. I feel like oftentimes and I hate when like television shows do this, but like I think a good example would be like it would cut from one character saying one line, another character would say another line, a character would say another line, and like they would also in between sentences like they would say um I'm going to do what? Build a bomb. Are you are you yeah, absolutely sure. Like they would cut like so fast. They wouldn't let an actual like line like an actual like paragraph, an actual monologue be cut to completion. They would just have to cut back and forth between the actors. And it was so disorienting because it did feel like television sort of dialogue. It felt very much just and there was no shot variation between it where you'd get the occasional like medium shot. Maybe if you were lucky you'd get a wide shot, but it really was like just like close back and forth dialogue for the entire movie, and then there was also the ridiculous quips in those back and forth.
Yeah. I just want to throw in, there's like the movie does, I, Jacob, I feel like we've talked about this before, where like the dialogue trope. I know they do this in this movie at least once, but it's like when they're talking and then all of a sudden like Oppenheimer's like hydrogen, and the other character's like, what? He's like, that's the secret ingredient of the bomb that we need to make. And it's like no one talks like this.
No.
It's not human dialogue.
No, it's so incredibly unnatural and expositional. Oh my God. Will come to the defense. This movie needs your defense on its dialogue.
I don't really think I can defend the dialogue. Yeah. Sorry, Oppie. Don't speak like a person.
Oh my God. Speaking of, I was
it's the radiation. The radiation hit into his brain.
It's the radiation. I was at work talking with Will and Elliot, and I went on this like probably 5 minute rant, which actually is just so batshit insane about how I was just like, and again, such an incredible nitpick. I was just poking fun at how much I hate the way that they call him Oppie.
They call him Opie one time.
Do they call him Opie? Oh my God.
There's one like character calls him Opie.
Opie.
Oh my God. I don't know. I just hate it. I hate the sound of it. I don't know if anybody else has this problem. This is probably just a me thing, literally, but it's so irritating. I don't know, like, can't we just like have him just be referred to as like Oppenheimer? If like you don't call Einstein fucking
You call him Einstein. Okay, Einstein works as itself, and they call him Bobby several times throughout the movie. Say, oh yeah, Bobby, that's a personal basis. But his students have to have some kind of affectionate, I guess, nickname to establish that, wow, he's that guy, you know. I don't have an issue. I think you're blowing it out of proportions, Jacob.
Yeah, so what about when an
in-
entire crowd of people are chanting "Ah B, Ah B"? They also do this 3 times in the movie. Did anybody notice this? They fucking did 3 different chant scenes of
You don't chant Oppenheimer. It isn't chantable.
I thought they were chanting.
Why are they chanting his name at all? Who does this?
He's a guy. I don't know. To them, he's a hero for like being a murderer. You know, they really dig that.
Yeah, he killed all those inferior people, all those evil Japanese, those morally degenerative monsters.
Yeah.
I also just want to throw there's the real life context that you got to keep in mind that Oppenheimer was notorious for performing sexual acts on people, and they started calling him sloppy Oppie.
Oh my God, is
Los
this real?
Alamos. Yes.
That's not just a joke you just
real.
made up. That's actually real.
You have to take
He
my,
said, "Don't
take
look
my
it up.
word
It's
for it's
real."
real.
That's fucking crazy. Sloppy Oppie. Oh my God.
I was also confused as to whether or not they ended up using the hydrogen or the atomic bomb. They did not make it clear because Safdie brought up like we should use hydrogen, and then they kind of experimented with
actually,
it.
Tommy,
They use the
if you knew
atomic-
about the
that's-
history and the science mechanics, you know that an atomic bomb, when it's a hydrogen bomb, would destroy like half the radius of the surface of the Earth. So I don't know if you would know about this, but I think you should really
Get on it.
I thought the movie made it clear that they use an atomic bomb and then they start trying to develop the H-bomb project after the war.
I guess no one ever said like we're not going to do the H bomb because I mean they brought it up before they made the atomic bomb test though. So I was like, oh, are they going to do the H bomb? Because obviously, all right,
Well, the guy
that's on me then. It's not really a big problem with that. I was just kind of
he left because he wanted to do his H bomb stuff, and then they were like not listening to him, sorta.
yeah, but I guess I thought that all right.
That's another thing.
And then Oppie was like, you can just do all your H-bomb stuff here.
Yeah, it's really
Stay.
funny to me how Benny Safdie is really like a comedic relief character at times, even though he's even more of a monster than fucking Oppenheimer.
He's like the most villainous person in the whole movie.
He's trying to make a fucking bigger bomb. The fucking bomb isn't strong enough the bomb that fucking ended the war isn't strong enough. We needed something bigger and more explosive. And that's his whole motivation. His whole motivation is that these other scientists aren't listening to him. It's so ridiculous. I don't know, man. They're just like aren't these scientists very quirky and weird? Don't they say the bazinga? Isn't that funny? It's so ridiculous.
Actually, if you look it up, Oppenheimer said sloppy Oppie said bazinga multiple times.
Yeah. It's a historical fact. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any other thoughts on the movie? Any further justifications? Any things that that really stuck in your side?
Yes. So there's a line said by I forget who to Oppenheimer where it goes like, "You're in a kangaroo court, and the result is predetermined." And so that really stuck with me because Oppenheimer's like, yeah, I'm still doing it anyway. I have my reasons. And I think you can infer that the reasons are he feels like he is deserving of some kind of persecution for what he has done. I think that is a good example in the film of how his guilt is expressed. Also, did we already talk about how like he will hallucinate people around him just vaporizing?
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I really dug that.
Yeah,
I think it was good contrast where when he starts saying all kinds of patriotic bullshit, where it's like, "Oh yeah, we really showed those Japanese people," and everybody's waving their flags, and you just keep seeing them dying, and it really expresses his cognitive dissonance. I think I was really happy with that.
Yeah, I can agree. I did like a lot of that kind of stuff. As you have, like you were saying, there's people waving the American flag, and then they're burning. Their smiles are being burned off their face. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I like stuff like that.
I wish the movie was like filled with like those like kind of like surrealist like abstract elements.
Yeah, why didn't he fuck with the bomb?
Especially the thing is that like it seems like a lot of like what they're trying to do is like the black and white scene is like all the stuff in black and white is supposed to be like just like very kind of flat and realistic and not super stylized. And then like the color stuff is like a little bit more like from like the perspective of the character, and like I don't know. It just seems to me like they didn't do enough with like that kind of duality there to like really justify the black and white being in the movie.
Yeah, no, I don't think so at all. Chris, can you answer why they didn't fuck the bomb?
The Florence Pugh scenes. I guess they took place of the bomb.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately.
They truly maybe there was an edit out there where he was fucking the bomb and it was super surrealistic. But maybe they were just like, no, we have to make it one of his students, and let's just do that. Let's do a lot of that's another thing. It's totally an aside, but a lot of reviews that I'm reading that are negative about this movie are like, ew, isn't it disgusting how they show like 5 frames of Florence Pugh's nipples? This movie's grotesque and gross. Why are we allowing this in theaters? This is not suitable for children. It's like what the fuck is a rated R movie?
Over Oppenheimer.
I agree. So ridiculous. Insane. That's one thing.
I did think it was like a great sin to show that on the screen, but I kind of get where you're coming from.
No. It's
little known fact, Jeremy got up and left the theater for 15 minutes after that. I don't even know how he missed most of it.
I was fuming.
Yeah. It's so weird that no one I can hardly find people actually like complaining about this movie online. All I can find when it comes to people like sharing my opinion online is just people saying one thing that's like kind of what I agree with, and then right next to something that's absolutely ridiculous. Like, oh my god, I don't want to see Oppenheimer's inner thigh. It's like, shut the fuck up. They didn't even show his dick. Like they didn't show shit.
Saw his balls if you looked hard enough.
I don't think they did.
No, trust me, they did.
Really. You would know. You would know, though.
Yeah, that's something
You
that just
zoomed
makes you
in.
feel crazy. It just makes you feel crazy when you're reading reviews online and you're like, there are like a lot of things I like didn't like about this, and then like it's like all either unanimous praise or just fucking wackos who
Yeah.
have problems with
It's
the
the
movie.
same thing with when after we watched Interstellar. I was like, man, this movie's fucking
Yeah,
ass.
exactly.
And then I go online and it's just people who are nut jobs and people who are like, well, actually, space wouldn't act like this. I know you got your physicists on
Yeah.
it, but I, as local Redditor, would know better. It's like,
I'd
what the
like to
fuck are
Yeah,
we
shift
it's like
talking
people like
about?
saying that
podcast.
and then also being like
Talk about
actually
Interstellar.
global climate change actually isn't real, so the events of
Yeah,
this movie wouldn't happen. Like it's like,
yeah.
oh my fucking
Oh my
God.
God, it's so fucking insane. I hate film criticism sometimes. It's so like some people just need to have their fucking like voice boxes removed. It's
They
ridiculous.
just need
If
to
it
be
isn't the pot
castrated,
calling the kettle black, ain't that crazy?
Yeah, I know Will would want me very much to have my voice box removed. Oh man. Any other Oppenheimer uh points of contention we want to discuss? Any other thoughts on the movie?
I just want to mention it was funny when the court scenes with RDJ when they were like Rami Malek has her back and he pulls up, he's like, no, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
that was actually really funny. I actually out loud laughed when Rami Malek was. I was talking to Chris during the movie. I was like whispering to him. I'm like, man, Rami Malek's just getting his fucking like ass pushed in at every possible moment. Like Oppenheimer, I think there was two different incidences where Oppenheimer literally just slams his fucking clipboard out of his hand, and it was so ridiculous. And then it was actually hilarious to see that like the downfall of Oppenheimer was due to fucking Rami Malek just like going into court and being like, you know what, this guy, he pushed some fucking papers out of my hand once, and the court goes, ooh shit, fuck you, Oppenheimer, we don't care about the bomb, you knock some shit out of this guy's hand, next, you're out of here. Yeah, we could sort of wrap up here. I'm glad that some of you guys really enjoyed the movie. I'm glad you guys got some value out of this.
Christopher
What are you
Nolan,
saying?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, actually, I apologize, Christopher Nolan, for ever saying anything bad about any of your movies. Um,
If you want to
uh,
hire me on for your next movie for any position,
yeah, actually, let me make the bomb fucking edit scene. I'll do it. Just give me rights to your footage. Don't copyright strike the video, the lords of YouTube and Christopher Nolan. So that's essentially our discussion on Oppenheimer. Hope you guys enjoyed talking about it, and it was good seeing you guys again. Thank you, Tommy, for the round of applause. Thank you, Zoe.
Barbie's better than Oppenheimer.
Barbie is better than Oppenheimer.